guys, thanks so much for joining us here, Bloomberg.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
We're so excited
to be here.
Yeah?
He yelled Steph Curry when I walked out. He had his shoes on.
Yeah, they were yelling at you, for sure.
I know, yeah, for sure.
You know, Steph, we obviously have to talk, gold medal game, Team USA coming home with it. It was your first games. Walk me through that. I mean, I was there. I was in Paris. I was covering the games. Yeah, I was there. I was covering the games. And I mean, the sounds, the cheers, I would have thought I was in the Bay Area. I mean, there's USA chants going on in France. What was it like for you to ice that game and to win, your first gold medal?
So it was my first Olympic experience, which was definitely worth the wait. It was, crazy energy throughout the whole city. The build-up to the gold medal game, playing against France in France. So the home crowd was definitely on their side for a while. It's the best experience because, and obviously in the NBA, there's such a build-up in playoffs, a 7-game series, and after 82 games, this is a 6-game sprint, and it's basically like March Madness, one and done. And so that intensity, that anxiety, really, to get it done, and for it to build up to that last 3 minutes, for me, was some storybook stuff, and it still hasn't sunk in. I ain't gonna lie. It's just one of those things that you did what the moment called for. Thankfully, all those shots went in, and to silence the crowd was special. That last one, I don't even know how to explain it. And to celebrate with those 12 guys, and obviously I brought some hardware.
Brought us a little present.
Got that to remember it by. So yeah, it was definitely a great first and probably only experience.
Did you plan for it?
Huh?
Did you plan for it? Did you see it in your mind? You got that method actor kind of sit down as an athlete and visualize the win.
So if my joke has been, well, Anthony Edwards, he made a joke. He was like, I only showed up to Paris for the last 3 days because I saved all of my shots for the last 2 games. I didn't shoot the ball well the first 4. I think I only made like 5 threes and then ended up making 16 in a 2-game stretch. So yeah, I visualized that for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever the moment calls for it, I'm gonna shoot it. So. Yeah.
I mean, you're always in the clutch. I mean, I think we've all seen that enough to know that for sure. We had Grant Hill here earlier in the morning, and he had talked about it. He had talked about the experience there, and he's obviously been in similar situations. But he said, being the director of USA Basketball, and he said that was the most pressure he felt in his entire career. Do you feel that sentiment? I mean, Steve Kerr kind of alluded to the same kind of a moment, too.
It's good for Grant to say that because he couldn't be out there on the court to do anything about it. Like, his work was done once the team was selected. But as a player, there's a sense of relief because we're Team USA Basketball. Like, we're supposed to win. But the competition has definitely gotten extremely tougher. There's, from 1992, I think there was only 7 NBA players that they played against. No, obviously, they're a great team, but for us, we played against 67 or 69 NBA guys.
The stats. You're doing my job up here.
We knew what the challenge was going to be, and so for us to get it done, no matter how it looked, like we knew it was going to be tough. So the Serbia comeback was insane, and that was where the most thing. Going into that fourth quarter, the first time I actually thought like, we might not win if we don't figure this thing out. And to respond the way we did was special.
Yeah.
You prefer favorite or you prefer underdog?
I've always been.
You've been a favorite for a long time now.
Even if I'm the favorite, I'm still going to trick myself into thinking you're the underdog. That's just part of my DNA. So
that's that underrated mentality, right?
On brand.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Kevin, I want to talk to you about it. Obviously, you're watching along with the rest of us. You're watching, hype for the U.S., but hype for Steph, and he has this amazing performance. And then Under Armour Curry brand drops the Curry 12s and the USA colorway.
He's got them on.
I mean, he's got them on right there. I mean, could you name a better time to drop a sneaker? Tell me about that and building on the success of the Olympics.
Well, you try to find the right, number one, Under Armour is all about innovation and product that, will give athletes those little edge. We say to provide you with a solution that you never knew you needed, and once you tried it, you couldn't imagine living without. So I can rattle this stuff off, but that means like the Curry outsole is giving him grip because that's one thing that Steph wanted is he could get his shot off a little bit faster. His team figured out he could score 2.3 more points per game and up that, and so we try to put the innovation there. But when you can match a great innovation with great style and the athlete's moment, and so that's what Steph at the Olympics was one of those things which We couldn't have written or scripted it any better, too. And then one thing is certain is that he's always going to come through. So we have that. So yes, and then the 12 leads to the 13, or the 12 leads to, we got other color drops and leads to a tour that we got coming up as well with more shoes coming.
Mm-hmm. And when you're looking forward to future success and things like that, I mean, obviously, we talked about it. So Under Armour is now a partner with USA Football, and you're going to be bringing that to LA 2028 as flag football enters, the Olympics for the first time. Talk to me about how that fits into the Olympic strategy.
Well, I think authenticity. Under Armour as a whole, we had 72 athletes, 26 countries, ended with 28 medals. This is 28 right here. I think the last one that came home.
Kelsey Plum?
Kelsey Plum won another one as well. So, I mean, this is where we want to be there for sports. So Under Armour is meant to be, one of the very few global brands that can show up in any athletic endeavor, on every court, any pitch, any field, and be seen as credible. And that's something that we refer to as, we're a podium brand. We call ourselves a sports house. So we want to be in those moments, and we want to be outfitting athletes where it matters. And so, we were founded on field in the sport of football. And so football making a debut in LA is going to be super cool. It is going to be a really neat opportunity for us, especially as we look at in 28 of, that'll be the first year we'll be outfitting the flag football team there. So we'll see what kind of athletes, and we'll see who's going to be throwing the rock. But
we will definitely see that.
Have you ever played flag football?
I have. I'm watching my 6-year-old play now, so I think
you could use another one.
There you go. 10-year-old flag football 2028, maybe. Steph, you both had talked about it there, the global outreach of the Olympics. And, you've obviously been on the winning train before in the NBA. Does this feel different in when you're talking about the way that this impacts global business?
For sure. There's no bigger international stage than what we just experienced. Starting with being on the barge and opening ceremonies with all 590 plus, Team USA athletes across all the different sports, events, skills. And, just being in that environment, for me, I felt it like I was a kid in the candy store taking pictures with everybody. Everyone would take pictures with us. And I'm like, make sure you introduce who you are, because I want to know, I want to educate myself.
What sport they were and all that.
And you feel like, how much passion there was from fan bases everywhere. And, the amount of reaction I got from that gold medal game, and just what we were able to accomplish, how I played, that obviously is something I'll be talked about for a long time, but it drives exactly what Kevin was talking about, the things that kind of have to go right for it to happen, from, my product all the way to being able to celebrate it in different parts of the world. So it's definitely amazing, and I think we're going to capitalize off that momentum.
And that goes into the tour that you're talking about. Is it a global tour for the next few sneakers? Is that what you're talking about, Kevin?
It'll be the first time Steph will be over in Asia, doing a 4-cities tour there, starting in Chengdu, and we've got a colorway called the Pandu that's going to be dropping then as well, which is, Chengdu is where the pandas are in China. So it's going to be really exciting. The product will be terrific, but the way that Stefan's sort of received there is, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's been 5 years since we've been over to China as well. We've got a pretty big store base there, so it's something that the market's incredibly excited. I think the first day there, we had how many signups? I think, several million social media signups of people that are popping on Tencent, who's going to be one of our partners for the tour. But we'll be there. We'll meet you in Shanghai and see. And I mean, I remember we've done this before. And you got to remember, you're on a tour. It's like it's 24 hours a day. But what was that big mall we were in? We put you up against like some 6-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah,
and for whatever reason, Stephen woke up. And if you've ever seen Stephen Curry, I've never seen Stephen Curry not make basketball shots. It happens. So anyway, we'll make sure we get your sleep.
That part.
So you were a little jet lagged then?
Just a little bit. You're trying to obviously balance the work and the reason we're over there. Obviously, I'm still prepping for the next NBA season coming up at the end of the month. So, trying to do it all, obviously, and take advantage of this window of time to be, like you said, it's been 5 years since we've been over there, and this is international work we're trying to do, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, one of the things, I want to talk to you about as we talk about strategy and moving forward is you took a seat back from being CEO, and now you're back. Why was it important for you to step back in this role?
I mean, that's something which, we say at Under Armour, there's 4 things that make up our brand. Is number 1, we're about athletes. Number 2, we're about sports. Number 3, we're about innovation. Number 4, passion. And hopefully we can wrap some smarts and some strategy around that. And that's one thing which we've got a really incredible team. And what I'm watching being built in Baltimore right now, is really special with the people side of it, but also, you know, in the physical infrastructure too. We've got a new headquarters that's opening, you know, in a town like Baltimore this November. 300,000 square foot. It'll be a LEED certified building. It'll be a new house to sort of contain it. It feels like we're starting a brand new chapter at UA. So the ability to come back and lead that is something. What a gift. You know, gratitude is something I've learned is, you know, turning 52, and I feel like I've lived several chapters at this point and got some dog years on me. So hopefully we can apply all that wisdom and smarts and again, some of the great relationships that we have too when you have, you know, talent like Stephen and someone who's inspirational that can speak to the living, physical, walking manifestation of what it means to be the underdog, to have that, you know, they didn't pick me, you know, they didn't give me that chance. Hey, Virginia Tech. I mean, so it's like, and this is the things where Stephen is that underdog. And to know that, you know, you can apply that rule of 10,000 hours, it's something that's very Under Armour. It speaks to the kid and the consumer, which is a lane that we think, you know, Under Armour is that chip on the shoulder. We represent grit. It's from our hometown of Baltimore to the attitude we have when Stephen plays. So that's something that makes us really proud, and we're happy to go tell that story and inspire young kids all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So that new headquarters and moving forward with athlete relationships, is that those things that you're really looking forward to stepping back into the role?
I mean, look, new headquarters don't sell shirts and shoes, so that takes people.
Right.
And that takes thoughtfulness, it takes strategy, it takes teamwork. So, you know, culture is probably one of the most important things that we drive, and it's where I'm really focused right now, is building a culture at Under Armour, which, of course, it embodies, you know, the idea of winning, which is something Stephen brings, but it also embodies you're not going to win all the time. And so when you get kicked, like, let's make sure we teach them how to get back up again. And if we're going to stand for somebody, you know, Under Armour's not old money. You know, there's people that have been doing this longer than we have. But, you know, we've put ourselves on the stage, we're in a position, and, you know, we're in the fight.
Steph, you know, when you come back together now, you've been partners in this business for a long time, and you're moving Curry brand forward. How do you envision this relationship going forward, especially, you know, past your playing career and beyond?
Yeah, if you look at from 2013 when I had my first meeting in Charlotte with the Under Armour team, like the vision was to build something unique and special to kind of reflect what I wanted in the basketball space. Under Armour basketball was babies at the time, and you know, there's kind of just a white canvas of what do you want to build, and you know, built off my signature journey over the course of the first 8 years, Curry brand launching in 2021, and then thinking about, okay, you know, to your point, what is the legacy of this opportunity to, you know, we call it change the game for good, and everything he just mentioned about, you know, product and innovation being, you know, the driving force of that. I want to bring people along, you know, the ride with me. And so, you know, obviously signing De'Aaron Fox last year was a big deal, especially as an active athlete, to have somebody that sees the same vision I have as an underdog who's trying to prove himself and take that next step. And he wants his, you know, a product to do exactly what he needs to do to be the greatest basketball player he can be, but also has a vision of, you know, what he wants to do in the community as well. For me, that's a huge, huge deal. So, you know, that is the hopefully sustainable, you know, place of like, how do we build this roster out? How do we expand in different sports? But go deeper into the innovation that we do best. Like, I mean, obviously I'm up here. You see he's got the shoes on. Like, I'm in this thing. I'm a part of the design, the evolution of the line, and I'm excited that this is something that we can continue even after I'm done playing basketball.
I didn't get a pair, but, you know.
I don't know. We didn't have nothing to go with the rest of the outfit, so we'll figure
work
it
on a
out.
scholarship.
Get that WNBA colorway going, you know what I'm saying?
That's it.
You know, when you're looking at expanding the brand, you did talk about, you know, going into other sports, and you obviously have the golf apparel, and you've gone into that a lot, and you have the underrated golf tournament. You were just, the Curry Cup just happened,
Just
right?
yesterday over at Ridgewood Country Club in Paramus. Yeah, we have the underrated golf tour where we bring equity access and opportunity through the game of golf. This is our third full season. We have all expense paid experiences for kids to drive diversity through the game of golf. And so, yeah, it's special. They're out there rocking the fire gear. They're unbelievably talented kids, both on the men's and women's side. So, yeah, my presence in the golf space, for me, that's a passion, and I know how much that can create opportunity and be a driving. The golf could be the vehicle for change for these kids. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
And that's our job, is to make sure, like, to give Stephen some of that outlet too. So, long after he's done making his last three, there's an opportunity for Stephen, number one, to keep inspiring young kids, opening up opportunities and inclusion, especially places like what it means for golf. But as that relates to the business side, from a product standpoint, we're thrilled to be able to have Steph's, mind and thinking. And, the latest deal that we did makes Stephen a long-term partner and shareholder of UA. And so I wouldn't bet against this guy. And so I'm always careful as a public company CEO of what guarantees you can make. But there's one thing I know is that Stephen Curry is going to win. And so to have him leading on behalf of the UA brand, style, product, relationships, culture, understanding, in the sport of basketball, because that's one place where, we want to win. And we think that there is an opportunity, and that comes down to great product. But, Stephen mentions the personalities, but he's the one that's selecting De'Aaron. He's making sure, does it line up with my values? Does it line up with integrity? And this isn't saying, who wants to sign with us. It's very intentional and being really thoughtful about the athletes that sort of meet that Stephen Curry criteria.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to pick your brain a little bit more about that. When you're thinking of bringing De'Aaron in and you're thinking of signing NIL players, how do you select them? What are those conversations that you have with them to see the vision or make sure that they see your vision too?
Yeah, it happens. Well, first off, you see them in their talent. There's something you see about certain guys and girls where you're like, are you competitive? Are you focused on your craft to the level where you expect greatness from yourself? Do you put the time in? And is that an authentic thing that you kind of express on a daily basis? First and foremost, family is important for me, and just the way that you see your place. I have a strong sense of purpose when it comes to why I feel like I'm on this stage and why God's blessed me with these skills to go out here and play basketball at the highest level. And can you inspire the next generation to do the same thing, to find what's great about them, to speak life into them? And, everything that we do is connected to that mission. So I'm excited that, one, people resonate with me when I say that, and two, that De'Aaron has a choice. Like, there's so many, not all shade, or is it money? It's not all the same shade of green. And when it comes to, like, we want to be competitive in that space, but there's also that alignment on, do you see a purpose of, how you can leverage your career to do, other great things, not just now, but in the long term as well. So he's checked all those boxes. And I think the future is bright for him. AZ Fudd, Malaysia Full Wiley, high school, going into their college careers, finding ways to do the same thing on that stage. So
Tommy Yoga?
Yes, yeah. That's right. So we're doing internationally as well. So to your question, like, just want to have those authentic expressions of exactly. I don't want you to be me. I don't want you to do things the exact same way I do. I want you to take the inspiration of. What does it mean when somebody looks at you and how you handle yourself and do it in your own unique way? And I want to be able to pass the baton like that.
Absolutely. That was incredible. And we were talking about Malaysia and signing her, South Carolina, and then they go win a national championship. Kevin, when you look at that space and you look at NIL and you look at women's basketball and the growth that's happening right there, right now, what's going on in that space, and what can you guys help build in that space?
I think the position, what Stephen has created, in basketball as a whole, but what it means and what you're seeing the rise, I think, in the women's game too. We're thrilled. We've been, we're 3 years with Kelsey Plum. Amongst athletes we've had, some of the NIL deals we've done, our relationship with Dawn Staley and the South Carolina Gamecocks, the dominance that they've shown as well. So, we're in this game, we're competing, we're winning championships, whether it's NBA championships or NCAA ones. So I think that we've got, NIL is complicated, but I think it's beneficial to us too. The deals are shorter. The athletes are authentic. Like, they love it, they believe it, and frankly, every one of them doesn't say, "Yeah, I'll sign with you, but I want to have my own brand like Curry." Like, that's where it gets hard. It's like, we need to go sell some UA. And so those things, it gets really complicated quickly. So, but it's a place that I think it's an evolving landscape, but one that we're lucky and happy to participate. I mean, it's such a privilege to be able to work in sports. It's something we tell our team is that who's got it better than us? Nobody.
I loved Kelsey Plum. You guys just dropped her birthday shoes, her plum colorway. You know, they're sick. And I want to know more about the women's basketball space and making shoes specifically for female athletes.
Yeah.
And that's really important because female athletes, we play differently, our bodies work differently. Talk to me about working with her and making sure that is authentic. Like we're talking about authenticity here.
Yeah.
So.
Well, back in 2019, I think it was the first year where we built a shoe called the Breakthrough, which is the first women's exclusive last, and it's something that Stephen had input on. As we brought Kelsey on, she's just enhanced and made it even better. And there hadn't been a women's basketball shoe out there. As they were wearing boy shoes and figuring out and wearing ankle braces or to try to compensate for the differences in just the foot dimensions. But that's where the ability to lean on a Kelsey, like she is a. She's plays for the Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back WNBA champs, and Kelsey is just as good as it gets. And talk about the grit, and she is like a field general out there on the court. She and she gets it, and she's a great partner too, because it's the game is so much more than just being able to compete. It's like whether it's basketball or golf, there's lots of people are good, but it typically comes down to the hardest 6 inches in any sport is between the ears. And so Kelsey is one of those very special, unique humans who's excellence on the court. She's a role model to young girls everywhere and young boys as well. I think as you've seen some of the dominance in the game. And we have one of the very best. And so we're going to make Kelsey, if you haven't heard of her yet, we're going to make her famous.
She's just the coolest.
She
really is.
Famous, yeah, but she's got that swag thing, she's got that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Steph, I'd love to get your take on the women's game right now and the explosion that they're having. What do you see going forward for the next few years of the WNBA?
Just more exposure. I want obviously the conversations now around the league are totally different. Attendance is up. They're on TV a lot more. You see just that. The growth of the popularity of not just the individual players. But franchises becoming more dominant, more talked about, kind of like in the NBA. And so it's great to see. It's great when women's game is showcased the way it's supposed to be. It's great when they're put on stage to showcase their personalities, just like he talked about with Kelsey, and her being able to kind of influence, like you said, young boys and girls to find swag in the game, to find confidence in the game, to be comfortable with who you are. You obviously know with Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark doing amazing things. Early in their careers, Cameron Brink, who's family to me. So
yeah.
It's awesome to know that the profiles of each of the individual players are growing, the platforms are growing, the hype around the game.
And the league's growing. Now we're going to have a Golden State team, right?
The Valkyries are coming. So, yeah, it's that expansion is huge. And, you want to be continuing to support them in the way we can. Like, I'm going to the game on Sunday and excited to see, that talent up close and personal. The more you can get out there and watch them, talk about them, see them, get to know them, it's for the better.
And I want to step back really quick when we're talking about the Olympics. We're talking about Peacock, because you just had a show release at the same time. I watched it. It was so fascinating, like the dynamic and the style that you guys went with. I mean, was that really intentional choosing Peacock as a partner while the Olympics were going on and having the success of
and obviously it all worked out for the launch. We had the gold medal game on August 10th. The show launched August 8th. And, just to know, for me, going into that world, just having fun with it, the mockumentary style was crazy. Adam Pally, Ego Wodum, who from SNL, they made the whole experience, just one that I want to do more of. I got to play the satirical version of myself, which my family is still laughing at because it's like the opposite of everything that I do, but it was great. So, it was perfect storm of everything to come together. They've been great partners, and hopefully there's more to come there.
The best part of it was when you just had no sense of being able to told
I don't
no.
accept failure. Can't accept failure, can't accept a no, which may be a little something to...
Yeah, that might be. It's always a little bit of truth in there, isn't there, right?
That part.
So we're wrapping up here. We have a question from the audience. What can we expect from Under Armour and Steph for the All-Star Game in 2025?
Well, first and foremost, Under Armour and like the partnership, they've seen exactly how and supported me every way they can when it comes to like court refurbishments that we've done all throughout the Bay Area. It's a big part of me and my wife's foundation. And they've been so consistent in terms of, backing it up and saying, yeah, we want to be, right there with you. And so we're doing a huge project through the Oakland Unified School District that's going to be a big deal. But it's cool that, we're 6 months out from that. We just want to dominate the weekend. 'Cause it's the Bay Area, it's my home, it's my 16th year in the league, and be on stage that way. So outside of the court refurbishment, a lot of that stuff is going to be surprises for Austin. But I want to go big for sure.
Well, we got a lot to live up to. I mean, Indianapolis, we had Steph's Fun House. We did a big thing for last year's NBA All-Star game. But just getting in that rhythm, making sure that people are ready to expect for us to show up on the court. I think that's one thing that matters, is that people I think today is a great message as well, is that, like, Under Armour, we're ready to play. I think that we've learned a lot. We've been a public company 19 years, in business nearly 29 at this point. You get to see a lot of things, you get to see a lot of experience, and the ability to apply that to this next chapter and be able to utilize, I think, this incredible stable of just great people, amazing talent, and inspirational stories. And by story, I mean, we haven't done a good enough job yet telling Stefan's story through Curry brand. And I think it's one thing where, we have 5 emphases of the categories of business we're going to get after. Basketball is square in the middle of it, and the reason for that is our partnership with Stephen Curry. So we appreciate you, partner. You're a great man, and we got some good things coming.
We're expecting some big things then.
We're going to be in the fight.
Yeah.
We're going to be in the fight.